Hello everybody and welcome to the Leo horoscope for 2025, which is very exciting. So this is for Leo sun, moon or rising, but I will say if you're a Leo rising, this is going to be so much more accurate. So at your discretion, whether you're a Leo sun, moon or rising, just know that. So we're going to talk about the key themes for the year and then going to break it down month by month, and hopefully it's going to be nice and detailed for you. So key themes for the year. Year of travel and study opportunities with a lot of energy in that ninth house of study, travel and spirituality. So you might be feeling a lot more philosophical this year or feeling like you want to spread your wings. Then establishing a really nice positive mental health routine, because Jupiter will be going into the side of mental health for you through the luck and joy that Jupiter brings. And then you're also going to be working on your investments and your intimate physical relationships as well, or opening up to others. So let's get straight into January 2025. So 6th of December 2024, we have a Mars retrograde in Leo, which has made people quite angry and frustrated. That will continue until the 6th of January. So Mars is the planet of war and aggression and sex drive, and Leo is very masculine and very powerful, sunny and optimistic. So together this creates a really sort of like David Goggins' I will not quit mentality. I'm a warrior. So we can use this for good. I always say that, people fearmonger a lot about the Mars retrograde. Oh, it's going to make everyone so angry. And yeah, it does frustrate you. But when you're frustrated, you can channel that into being very passionate as well. So it will yield frustration and anger, but we can also use it for passion. Leo, this is in your first house of self. So you could have frustrations around your appearance or how to channel your identity and purpose into the world. This could be linked to your career, for example, with your status and how you're appearing to others. If you're, somebody who values that a lot. It will also channel and hit your ego a little bit more than other people as well. So you might find your ego is either bruised or you're trying to uphold your pride a little bit more than others. But again, if you can channel that into something positive and passionate, then you can actually end up making this quite a good time for you. And again, if you desire a change in your appearance, for example, then use that passion for direction. Then we have Venus in Pisces in your 8th house. So on the 2nd of January, Venus will leave Aquarius and enter Pisces. It's a much more dreamy, delusional, kind of compassionate love sign. And you can find more harmony with the 8th house here in investing in, in stocks and shares, real estate, or opening up to somebody in a very trustworthy place. Because this is Venus with the love sign and Pisces at the 8th house, I think this could be a little bit more like feeling more amorous and a little bit more, maybe letting the lust take over a little bit, depending on, where you are in your life. I think this could be a little bit more of an amorous kind of thing with the 8th house and with Pisces being very delusional. Then we have Mars retrograde entering Cancer in the 12th house for you. So from the 6th of January 2025 to the 23rd of February, Mars will be in Cancer, which is just not its best place to be. Mars is very aggressive, Cancer is highly sensitive. Together, it's just like screaming and crying at the same time. So this highlights frustration with you for mental health specifically. So you could find yourself getting frustrated with things that affect your mental health, or getting frustrated at your mental health itself and feeling like, why am I like this, and then getting annoyed and maybe being impulsive. So it's really good to try not to act out and kind of keep yourself on a balanced level during this time. Then the nodes change to Pisces and Virgo from Aries and Libra. This is quite significant because the North and South node are sort of like your destiny and your past life and such. So they've been in Aries and Libra, and then they move to Pisces and Virgo. So the North node in Pisces for you will basically mean that you have it in your 8th house of financial investments and creating these intimate bonds. So your purpose now becomes a lot more on your future, maybe your retirement, investing for your retirement, or focusing more on what you want from your relationships on an intimate physical level. Like, are you wanting a relationship that gives you commitment, or are you wanting to have more fun now? What kind of thing do you want? Is there a level of trust here that you need to heal, like a trauma over trusting people, or feeling that people only use you for your body, or certain things like that? There is a level of, I need to focus this on this now in 2025 is my greater purpose. And because you had this in your 9th house, you might have focused more on study and travel as your purpose, and now you're bringing that back again into 2025. But with Pisces and Virgo, North Node and South Node, it will restore some harmony and balance to your finances, but then also how you connect with others. So your purpose will become a lot more clearer during this time. Then Uranus will go direct in Taurus on the 30th of January, in your 10th house of career, actually. So Uranus brings unexpected shakeups with your career, a little bit of, you know, sort of innovation. So if you experienced any issues with finances and with your career, specifically from May to September 2024 last year, they may repeat now, or the lessons that you learned during that time may come back. Okay, February 2025. Venus enters Aries in your 9th house on the 2nd of February. Venus is debilitated in Aries, because they just don't go together. You know, Venus is a Taurus, Libra ruled. With Aries, Venus is far too harmonious for Aries. So entering your 9th house of study and travel, this brings excitement and passion to opportunities. It's a fun energy, like good kind of working energy for getting noticed and like pushing things out there, especially with study and career and travel. But I would say that, again, because this is debilitated, it's not going to be the most harmonious, amorous time that you would normally get with something like Venus in Libra, for example, or Venus in Pisces. This is much more sort of like, I don't know, it fights against the wind a little bit. Then we have Jupiter direct in Gemini in the 11th house on the 2nd of February. Wonderful. Jupiter, the planet of luck and expansion. Expansive opportunities now can pick up again for you in your friendship house. So this is great luck with friendships, meeting friends, great energy for starting something new with a friend, like a project or something, or actually expanding your friendship group, reinventing your social circle. And because of that influence of Jupiter and the expansiveness, and because you have such a focus on the 9th house this year, this is great for connecting with foreign contacts, so making foreign friends. I, for example, have Sagittarius stellium, and obviously Sagittarius is the 9th house, and it's ruled by Jupiter, and I have a lot of foreign friends. I have a friend from Romania, I have a Dutch friend, I have a Swiss friend, because I was like, oh my god, I've got loads of friends from different places all over the world. I can't even count them, I have so many. And I love meeting different people from around the world. You know, I had an ex that was foreign, so I have a lot of people in my life like that. So the 9th house could influence partners and friends that are from different parts of the world to you, and that's really exciting and active. Then Mars goes direct in Cancer in your 12th house of mental health. So again, that Mars influence of frustration. So you'll be evaluating your frustrations and actually doing something about it. So maybe feeling some trauma over something with your mental health, your subconscious mind, and doing something about it, being a bit more sort of fisticuffs and active. Not necessarily having a fight, but channeling that frustration much more directly rather than letting it fester and thinking about it. And again, Mars in Cancer is not a good place to be. It's highly sensitive. So you could find yourself being a little bit more like, I never cry, and for some reason I'm crying all the time. It's just not a good time. You could also find that, not just related to you, Leo, but in the world, that you see more sort of political aggression or mothers standing up for things. And you might also find that people are a little bit more sort of like on the wire than usual. March 2025. Okay, have a drink. Venus retrograde in Aries, 9th house, 1st of March. Again, Venus and Aries debilitated. So this can bring out existing issues in your relationships, and you can get really annoyed by other people. And again, because this is Aries, it can get very angry. With the 9th house, you kind of need to focus on forgiving yourself and your progression in your studies or traveling. Obviously, I don't have everybody's single charts and I don't know everybody individually, so I can only ever give you some examples of what this might be. But for something like this, for example, kind of thinking about the harmony and balance between what knowledge you have and what knowledge you want to get, and maybe the knowledge that you weren't able to get, right? Or, you know, how you appear when you're traveling. Like, you want to find a partner, for example, that is very well traveled and cultured, but you yourself are not. So how is that going to work out? You're not able to share the same experiences, so then you need to try and get those experiences. Venus retrograde is all about thinking about the beauty and the harmony you have in your life, and also your partners as well. And again, because it's an Aries, you could be thinking more about wanting a partner that's a little bit more take control or a bit more masculine if you're you know, that way inclined. So that's a kind of evaluation more than I'm going straight for it. And I would always say around this time, because of the retrograde, it can make you feel a bit annoyed with partners and with relationships and self-love, to use your accomplishments in your life as evidence that you are loved and wanted, because you are. And if you don't love and want yourself, I love and want you, because I know if you're watching this, you and I are probably alike. So again, Venus is debilitated in Aries, so it's good to be a bit more flexible emotionally. And then Mercury is in Aries on the 3rd of March too. So again, a bit of ice water, because you might speak things a little bit more aggressively. It gives the energy of, well, if you want to take me out, then take me out. And then someone's like, you know, I'm standing up for myself here. Then we have a Virgo lunar eclipse in the 2nd house on the 14th of March. Virgo, very strong, disciplined energy. Good time to finish any important projects with that eclipse, that lunar eclipse sort of ending things. Releasing stagnant energy, especially around financial matters with the 2nd house and feelings of laziness around that. And then you may have to pay off a debt, which will feel quite good, but then it might be like, oh, I can't save stuff because I have to pay off this debt. Or finishing off a financial plan or ending an income stream, for example. Then we have retrograde central. When are we never not in retrogrades? Like ever. It feels like every time I speak to someone, they're like, we have another retrograde. I'm like, yeah, I know. So we have a Mercury retrograde in Aries in the 9th house, 15th of March. Mercury retrogrades bring communication issues, delays, issues with technology, and generally things coming back from the past. So Venus also retrograde in Aries. This is quite a challenging period with a lot of angst and aggression. So it's good to focus on the Zen calmness, and particularly when you're communicating with people, just to be a little bit more careful. Venus retrograde in Pisces, 8th house, 27th of March. Old energy with relationships and friendships and exes could cause you to feel tired, and a bit of subconscious trauma could emerge. In that 8th house could be somebody you've had a physical relationship with, or someone that you've had a lustful feeling over and it never worked out. It gives me very much situationship energy. So focus on what love you really want and use that delusion of Pisces to manifest something. I think it's more about maybe manifesting some movement with somebody, or manifesting the kind of love that you want where you feel both physically and emotionally protected, because there seems to be a bit of a reveal in the 8th house about trust, and that can be both physical and emotional too. Then more retrograde. So Mercury retrograde then enters Pisces in the 8th house on the 29th of March. So alongside Venus in Pisces, we have this highly spiritual, karmic, very intuitive kind of communication around love. This, aside from your sign, might manifest some issues globally, but be open to all the lessons this brings, especially because in the 8th house, it's about trusting yourself and others. So it's a great time to think about those things and to evaluate them. Neptune enters Aries 9th house on the 30th of March. Neptune, planet of clarity and spirituality, and then Aries very active with that spirituality by giving it fire and passion. So this retrograde may cause difficulty in really seeing the truth, but then Neptune also signals the spread of something. And with Neptune in Aries and Saturn in Aries coming up, this gives me energy of I don't necessarily think it's World War III, but it gives me energy of wars spreading. There's more issues globally, like the geopolitical situation at the moment, and then this, it's a bit weird. So let's manifest that everything is peaceful. But yeah, Neptune is great for bringing clarity, but with Aries, it fights against the wind a little bit. So it's not, you could find yourself going in and out, feeling hot and cold with the clarity here. Aries solar eclipse on the 29th of March in your 9th house again. This Aries solar eclipse will trigger energy that you need to take action. So the solar eclipse is much more new, it's more fresh with the issues arising. You might want to release some powerful energy and grieve something and then move on to something immediately. And you might also want to reframe something rather than actually end something because of the retrograde. So in the 9th house here, you could be linked to feeling something about a holiday or learning something new. And instead of giving up something, like a language, for example, you could just reframe it and say, okay, so I'm not going to decide to learn German. I'm going to reframe it and just maybe do a bit of this or a bit of that. Or actually, maybe I'm just going to only learn these things instead of the whole language and become fluent. You know, this is an example, you know, you're reframing something rather than letting it go. April 2025, Mercury will be direct in Pisces in the 8th house on the 7th of April. So communication is much easier now. You can communicate your feelings and sort of innermost thoughts and ease now, which may help building up connections, especially with finances and again, trusting others. And you may also feel that you can communicate at work much easier. I mean, Mercury going direct is nice. It's a good energy. You might also find that if you're investing in the stock market as well, it becomes a lot easier now and you think, I know what to do now. Or you see things shoot up a bit more. Then Venus will be direct in Pisces in the 8th house on the 12th of April. So you could experience some better manifestations with love now that Venus is with Pisces, which is much more dreamy and delusional and lovey-dovey. So you might feel a bit more hopeful around love. You might also feel less burdened by having to keep up appearances. And because of the 8th house, you could feel a little bit more spicy and, you know, a little bit more sort of very, very amorous. So definitely an energy you're feeling, you know, the spicy life could get better. And then we have the return. So Mars back in Leo, 1st house of self, 18th of April. It's a good time to think back to issues in November, December 2024 and what were they? How did you deal with them? You can tie up those loose ends and feel a little bit more energy with your goals, and because of the 1st house of self, your appearance and your purpose. But again, it's Mars in your sign again. So be very careful about heightened emotions and frustrations. Again, use that passion. Then Venus is back in Aries, at 9th house, 30th of April, bringing back any unfinished business from March and dealing with it head on. You can be a bit more enthusiastic with love. Again, it's debilitated, but you can use that to be a bit more forceful. And again, this can be a bit impulsive as well. So it's about trying to find the balance. And that 9th house, again, something to do with your spiritual routine, study or travel is becoming very sort of like, it has a highlight again. May 2025. I feel like I'm going through this really quickly, but I know that some videos are really just sitting on 1 month for like 20 minutes, and I don't have time for that, and neither do you. So I'm just like, let me go through it. You can always pause the video, and again, I'm really open, so you can just ask me a comment, you know, ask me in the comment section if you want something clarified, that's fine. But sometimes, like when I do tarot readings as well, I just sit on there for ages, and I'm just like, I've got 12 of these to do. No. So forgive me for moving so fast. But May 2025, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, 7th house, 4th of May. So 7th house of committed relationships. You may have experienced some transformations around this when Pluto entered Aquarius in November 2024. But now this is retrograding, it becomes to slow down a little bit, and you think more on these internally. So you don't necessarily see the outward transformations in your committed relationships. You just think about them more internally. And then Saturn enters Aries in the 9th house, the 24th of May. This is major. I'm a little bit scared. Saturn's just a planet of restriction and constriction and lessons, and Aries is war. It just reminds me of world leaders just taunting each other. It's not a great energy. Saturn in your 9th house shows boundaries and growth with studying or having more time off work to travel. You're kind of setting your boundaries and saying, you know, I need to see the world. I need to have a break. I need to set my boundaries and be clear on what I need to do. And also I think you need that spiritual, cultural growth, Leo, as well. And Aries is forward moving and active. It gives me their Ace of Swords energy. And Saturn is a rope around you. So you must work on your freedom as much as possible. I think that's quite good to do. Okay, June 2025. Jupiter enters Cancer, 12th house, 9th of June. Fabulous. We're great. I just love this energy. Beautiful energy. Jupiter and Cancer work so well together. They're really very best friends, really. So Mercury will also enter Cancer a day before as well. So this is great communication and expansive for your mental health. I'm feeling quite lucky. So Jupiter will be in Cancer for the next year. This is great energy again in the 12th house for just feeling good about your mental health and bringing you joy and luck. Great for manifestation as well, with that subconscious element of the 12th house too. So you might find your manifestation speed up now. Then Mars enters Virgo in the 2nd house on the 17th of June. Fabulous energy for productivity, especially with Virgo. But again, it is Mars, so it will bring some frustration. But it's a great time to use that frustration in that 2nd house with finances, into being productive, into gaining a better salary, making more money, having a side hustle and whatnot. July 2025, so Neptune will be retrograding in Aries in the 9th house on the 4th of July. Neptune retrograde brings like a foggy energy, as I mentioned before, with the Neptune direct in Aries. Aries is fighting the wind. It's really like whew, clarity. You really punching a mirror because you can't see yourself here. So try to stay tapped into your intuition with that 9th house of philosophy and spirituality as well. Focus on the path that you're on with your morals and values and your career and how you gain knowledge, your mastery. I like the 9th house. It gives me very monk on the mountain kind of energy. So be careful about your clarity here and do what is possible. Journal. Say, I know that right now is a really unclear time, but this is the path I think I want to be on, and I'm going to go towards it. Uranus will be entering Gemini in the 11th house for you on the 7th of July. Uranus is settled in Gemini because it's like the higher octave of Mercury. So it's kind of like the communication house, and it's good. So this will bring out of the box ideas, very innovative with your friendships and battling any sort of attachments that you have to people in that area. So open your mind to new ways of thinking with your friendships, you know, new stories around who you are, to the new stories that you're telling people. Kind of, again, maybe reframing things a little bit. You know, you might be like, oh, I really like this friend, but they're only superficial, so maybe I'm gonna think outside the box and only use them, as it were, for parties because they're that kind of person. But I don't think I'm going to sit and have a deep philosophical chat with them over a glass of wine, because it's not who they are. So that's my new way of innovating our friendship and maybe making things better. Something like that. Then we have more retrogrades again. Saturn retrograde this time in Aries 9th house on the 13th of July. This restricts our options even more and can make you feel very trapped, especially in that 9th house of wanting to travel. So you could be like, I just need to spread my wings. So we can use the Aries energy here to tap into creativity and remind ourselves there are several options out there. But again, constriction of Saturn with Aries together, yeah, not great. This is more sort of an evaluation time as well, I might add. So it's less so you say, I'm just going to release the shackles and travel. It's more like you thinking and planning. Then we have a Mercury retrograde in your first house, Leo. Great time for second chances with somebody if you've fallen out of contact with, but be careful about their intentions. Are they really coming back because they want to, or is it just the influence of Mercury retrograde? Be careful with making drastic changes to your appearance during this time as well in the first house of self, or saying something about yourself and it really backfires, you know. Saying things like, I'm a millionaire, I'm going to be a millionaire, and then like your next day you're like, can I borrow some money? Like, you know, just be careful. August 2025, Mars enters Libra in the 3rd house for you on the 6th of August. Mars and Libra are complete opposites, so this is kind of trying to figure out, you know, other people and understanding them to the fullest. Great energy and drive for communication and projects in that 3rd house, and using the passion of Mars to enhance these. So again, there's a bit of frustration here, maybe about writing or some kind of thesis or study thing you're doing. But generally, you can use that passion for, you know, being able to be productive. Then Mercury goes direct in Leo in your first house on the 11th of August. And Mercury direct can help you channel your motivation around your goals. It's very like getting back on track and being able to speak to people normally again. Use this alongside Mars and Libra to manifest and communicate a new salary. Maybe make a statement about yourself. You can make changes to your appearance now as well. Venus will enter Leo in the first house as well on the 25th too, so that will enhance harmony around your identity as well. Also, I just want to add, I didn't add every single Venus sign here because some of them are not as important as others to me. So just because the Venus sign is not on here for certain things doesn't mean it's not happening. There's a lot of things I left out here because I do monthly and weekly horoscopes. So just in case you're like, wait, Venus jumped to this really quickly. September 2025, Saturn will enter Pisces in the 8th house on the 1st of September. So they'll now stay there for the rest of the year. So any Saturn Pisces kids like myself, you can kind of revisit any lessons that we had from the past sort of 2 to 3 years. I don't want to have my Saturn return thing come back again, but I also don't want Saturn in Aries. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll take it. For you, Leo, this is a good time to focus on the constrictions that affect your investments and the boundaries in your physical relationships, especially if you had issues with physical relationships that felt very delusional, or you were like fooling yourself or like tricking yourself into thinking it was the right thing for you. It's good for you to be like, no, I'm setting my boundaries now, and kind of shocking people with it. Then we have a Uranus retrograde in Gemini, the 11th house on the 6th of September. This will slow down any of those innovative ideas you had before around friendships, any new ideas. So you may get a bit of a shock or change you don't want. You could receive some news that you don't. It's not necessarily bad. It's just kind of like, oh, I didn't expect it. Or you might feel in a rut around your friendships and feel like they just need a bit of reinvigoration, and sort of like a bit of a jolt and a shock. Then we have eclipses. It's eclipse season. I will do separate videos on the eclipses and why they're important and whatnot, but for now we have a Pisces lunar eclipse on the 8th house on the 7th of September, and then a Virgo solar eclipse in the 2nd house on the 21st of September. So ending and releasing something with that Pisces lunar eclipse, great time to let go in capitals of learning something that no longer serves you, and this could be really, really cathartic as well. with a Virgo solar eclipse in the second house, great time to kind of start a new project and expand your plans with income and salary. I wouldn't necessarily sign anything, but I would just, you know, get ready to start something new and kind of like get on that progress line for as we're getting towards the end of the year. October 2025, Pluto will be direct in Aquarius in your 7th house on the 13th of October. So you can now focus on major transformations and lessons with relationships, and you can finally move forward, and this is really good for you. You will see a little bit more sort of like, I know this is what I need to do with my relationships. And you will have that Pluto in Aquarius effect for the next 20 so years. So get used to it, especially in that 7th house. And then we have Neptune entering Pisces in your 8th house on the 22nd of October. Again, Neptune returns to Pisces. The spiritual meets spiritual, great energy. You can revisit issues with connections here and finances, and focus on your clarity. Things become much more clear when it comes to what you need to invest in for your future, and also who you can trust. Great time for meditation and tapping into your spiritual side even more. November 2025, Uranus will be entering Taurus in the 10th house on the 7th of November. Innovation, shake up with career. Any changes to your security with how you experience joy, which may be in effect recently, can be worked on. This is really good for going into your job and saying, I want to innovate the business, I want to innovate this department I'm in, or saying, I'm going to completely change careers. Like, I'm just going to completely change the whole trajectory of my life just by shocking it all up. And then we have a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius in the 5th house of dating and creativity for you on the 9th of November. So you may feel like you can't communicate, open up to somebody, or you want to kind of run for the hills. Especially because exes could revisit, especially with that 5th house of dating. It could be somebody that you had one date with and they're like, hey, and you're like, we had one date, who are you? You know, it's like, why are you coming back? And you could experience some delays with dating or some kind of hiccups with a hobby or a creative project too, if you're not into dating, or you could just end up having a bit of a clash of mixed values with somebody, and it's a bit like, eef. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is not as bad as it normally would be in other signs, so this is probably not too bad. And if you do have an ex or somebody that you dated once come back, you might not be so, you might be like, I might entertain it. Then we have retrogrades version 400 of a Jupiter retrograde in Cancer in the 12th house on the 11th of November. This Jupiter retrograde will have us evaluating our projects and dreams, less so going for them and more thinking about them, specifically around mental health for you. So you might be thinking more about how you can really bring more joy to your life, how you can expand your subconscious feelings and your manifestations, for example. But you'll also be able to look at your dreams and what you feel destined for now as well. Then we have a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio in the 4th house on the 18th of November. This is very passionate with that Scorpio energy. Exes could return with full force now. You could have issues around communicating with family members, or you have issues in the home with things breaking or having to pay for things that you didn't expect. Then we have a few things going direct. So we have Saturn direct in Pisces in the 8th house on the 27th of November. This can give us a tiny bit more freedom, a bit more clarity. You can feel less trapped with the investments in the 8th house now and feel more open to manifesting new opportunities as well. And again, I think you're more clear on your boundaries around that as well. Again, in the 8th house with somebody in your life that you're trusting as well. Mercury direct in Scorpio 4th house on the 29th of November. Last Mercury retrograde of the year, so now it's going direct. We can move forward, and for you, Leo, you can make good decisions, DIY projects at home, moving or speaking to family members in a much more sort of like productive way now. And then finally, the last month of the year, December 2025, Mars retrograde in Leo in your 1st house of self on the 6th of December again. So yeah, it'll be in Leo again, and this will bring irritation, anger with matters of identity and your appearance maybe. So try to focus on communicating your needs in the right way. Don't make too many drastic changes, and be careful about, you know, popping off on somebody basically. And then Neptune will be direct in Pisces in the 8th house, which is a little bit of solace because it gives them some clarity at least. And in the 8th house, again, that path of finances and trust, who you share money with, and your relationships will become much more clearer for you now, which is great. So that was the rundown for you, Leo. Again, key themes, a lot of travel and study opportunities this year. Even if you're not somebody who, you know, somebody of a, I don't know, of an older age, shall we say, who doesn't want to study, you know, you've been through university, you've done study, like, I'm not really bothered by that. Could be something about gaining knowledge, you know, you could be even reading more books. Gaining knowledge is very, very vague. You know, reading more books, you know, learning something maybe, you know, learning how to do something in the garden, doing a DIY project, learning how to plumb, so you don't have to be a plumber, so you don't have to get someone else to do it. Could be learning a language, you know. Could be many things, and traveling also doesn't have to be too expansive, like across the whole sort of world. It could be just across the country. Could just be you are taking more trips to, like, you know, reservoirs and nature parks and things like that. You're just expanding more. It's generally, the ninth house is a very philosophical sign, so this is definitely something where you're tapping into what you really want in life now. And then you'll be working on your mental health as well, in a good way, positive, quite joyous, and generally quite positive when it comes to manifesting things as well. And knowing that everything comes from within, life is not coming at you, it is coming from you. And then there is a big energy of working on investments. So working on your future and retirement and whatnot, trying to build a portfolio, saving money, sharing finances with other people, you know, having a joint account, or even like trying to invest in real estate with somebody, for example. And that could just be buying a house with somebody. And then also there's a big focus on trusting people and your physical relationships as well. And, you know, focusing on what you really want from an emotional partner and a physical partner, and putting them together. And like, have you been attracting partners you only sleep with, or is it the opposite? You can't open yourself up. You haven't, like, you know, you're not able to be intimate with somebody because you have a fear around it, and it's linked to your mental health. You know, there's a lot of things here that could be approached in that way. So it's quite I would say this is quite a working on yourself evaluation kind of time. Love wise, because a lot of people ask me about love. Oh, well, you know, we're getting love. Love wise, again, if you link it to the 8th house, then yeah, there's some interesting energy with the love. But again, it's more about trusting somebody rather than like this is a commitment. You do have Pluto and Aquarius in your 7th house, so again, that is a transformation of a committed relationship, either leaving one or thinking more about exactly what you want from somebody that you desire marriage from. So there is an energy of you will be focusing on love. There is some retrogrades in your 5th house as well. So there are some people, exes maybe coming back. But overall, I don't see this as a year that is particularly romantic for you, Leo. Some people might say differently, but then that's their opinion. I generally think this is a average year. I think you can make it how you want. I'm a big law of assumption person as well. If you've watched videos on this channel before about manifestation, big manifester. I believe we're 50-50 co-creators of the universe. Astrology is an influence. You're not a puppet on a string. It's not like Jupiter is saying, hey, you have to do this. It's an influence. You can resist it. You can alchemize it and change it. But I don't see this as a bad year for you whatsoever. And I think generally it's okay. It's average, bordering on better than average. So if that gives you some solace, that's good. Also depends on the other things in your chart as well. You could be a Leo rising with like a Sagittarius sun and then a Pisces moon. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe love is going to become a bit more apparent for you. You know what I mean? You have to look at it holistically in that way. So Leo, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, maybe give it a like. And I hope to see you around for more videos soon. Bye.